Welcome back to RGR. I'm Ryan, and this is me going rogue on the NFL and particularly the Kansas City Chiefs. I hope you guys are excited. It is Red Friday. That's when this video will come out. And I'm pretty pumped myself. Been going over some diagrams and seeing what we can do back and forth. Couple of ideas out there. Going to be an interesting game, and I want to make sure that we cover the bases of this week's game plan against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, if you're new around here, hit that sub, the notification, leave your thumbs up if you like what I'm doing, and please put your comments below. We want to have a good conversation about this game and what's coming up in it. Now, the most pressing matter at hand is that big storm Dorian that's going up the East Coast, and it looks like, as of this recording, that they've dodged a bullet, and that the storm is not going to hover like we thought over Jacksonville. It looks like it's a fairly low percent chance of rain, and the field has a chance of holding up to it. So what we're looking at right now is a high at kickoff in Jacksonville of around 94 degrees and a ton of humidity. So this plays a little bit into Jacksonville's hands, but it's going to be okay. The Chiefs have a plan, and this is how they have to execute it. The top of the list is stopping Leonard Fournette. Now, this is a team that is in a little bit of flux. New quarterback, we'll talk about him in a little bit. But they have seen what the Chiefs have been in years past. And they know that in years past, they could run on them. Now, Fournette is looking to bounce back pretty seriously. 3.3 yards per carry last season in 2018. And a guy that's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. There's been some contractual things and some other issues going on in Jacksonville with him. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to adjust, when you're trying to bring in a new quarterback, new things in DeFilippo as well with the coordinator who's going to be calling the plays, a good crutch to kind of normalize your offensive game plan is to run the ball. And when you spend a draft pick like you did on Leonard Fournette, it's going to be a focus. They're probably licking their chops because they saw what happened in the playoffs last season. They've seen that Patriots film over and over and over again. So look for them to hand him a steady diet of carries. This team has to buck up, particularly it's going to be Hitchens and Wilson that are going to have to stow the tide of the run game. Now, Reggie Ragland's going to start with them. They're going to move around, of course, but I think Reggie's going to end up playing that Sam like we saw late in the preseason, where he's going to be out on the edge. And especially in the nickel, he'll come off, and that's going to leave, at least for the primary group, Hitchens and Wilson to be those backers behind what should be a more aggressive, more blitz-happy, more confusing front, and we'll talk about that coming up. Now, in the nickel, they're going to have to do a few things as well. Fournette's not the option out of the backfield that some backs that they'll face this season are, but he is somebody to at least pay attention to. So you could see later in the game, especially with the fatigue factor from the weather, Darren Lee, maybe even Ben Neiman gets in. They're going to be spelling each other. So look for that to be a continued threat throughout the game, but something that they definitely have to concentrate on. And I'm sure Steve Spagnuolo has that right up front in his game plan. Now, when the Chiefs do get the ball, it's going to be a mixture, but I think what they have to look at to be a steady diet in this particular ballgame is against a guy who just got paid. Myles Jack just got a big contract extension, and he's a guy that they're counting on to be a coverage linebacker. The problem is he's got to play Travis Kelce this week, and so the Chiefs have a matchup advantage there. And beyond Jack, the linebacker level is a bit suspect in terms of being able to match the athleticism that Travis Kelce brings. So it's a steady diet for Travis. I expect 6 to 10 targets for him because that softer part of the middle of the field is not only something that gets you straightforwardly down the field, but also has gaps in it that he can exploit. I think Jack will put up a good fight, especially early, but in the end, Kelce's athleticism takes over. He should be able to have a pretty big day. I expect a good 80-plus yards and a touchdown from Travis Kelce. And that's got to be the focus for Mahomes and Reid to feed him and let everything else come from Travis Kelce. Maybe the biggest question mark of this roster is what they're going to do with the secondary. We've seen how they're going into this game with only 4 cornerbacks. Likely going to see a ton of playing time for Juan Thornhill, a rookie. It's tempting to get a little bit nervous. But the Chiefs need to have this first and foremost in disguising, doing what Bob Sutton couldn't do. And I expect Spagnuolo to have this really mixed in very well. Different coverages. Play some man, play some zone. I expect a little bit more zone in particular, but you have to do these things to protect the secondary. Mixing some man is going to help Javarius Ward on some downs. Playing more zone is going to help Kendall Fuller on some downs. And Fuller really has the matchup to watch. In trying to take D.D. Westbrook, who's going to move into the slot quite often, he will motion, he will line up outside sometimes as well. But Kendall Fuller is going to be the guy that has him the majority of the time. And being able to mix and match and not let them know what you're going to do is really a key that Spagnuolo knows and is really aware of going into this new season and how to differentiate this defense from the past defense. I expect them to do that quite a bit. I expect to see some corner blitzes from Fuller as well, too. I think pressure is going to be something we'll talk about in a minute that these secondary players will get in on, particularly Matthew and Fuller. But when you look at the outside, the other matchups in DJ Chark, as well as old friend Chris Conley, are going to be challenging as well. You have Breeland and you have Ward, and mix and matching for those guys as well is something that can keep the offense on its toes and keep Nick Foles guessing about where he's going to have windows to throw to. And Foles can create a little bit after the pocket breaks down, but it's not his best forte. And I think that if they can just keep it mixed up, not fall into patterns, that's going to help them get through this game less scathed, if not unscathed. Now, as much as I would like to see them run the ball and really degrade the defensive front, that's not the forte for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And so what I expect from them is to bide their time, work the underneath game, the intermediate to short routes, sprinkle in some run, especially now that you have LaShawn McCoy in the house, as well as Damian Williams. You get to kind of trade off there a little bit. You might even see some touches for Darwin Thompson. I won't put that out of the realm of possibility, especially with the heat and the humidity. Platooning and getting everybody a couple of touches is probably a very good idea. But when it comes to the time to exploit the defense, you have to look down the deep middle. Young safeties are going to be a bit concerned by both the speed and the cannon that Patrick Mahomes is bringing. And I think it comes back to the same thing that we've heard all offseason about how you don't have to run the ball to make play action effective. I think play action is the key here. For young safeties who are already a little bit keyed up, I think you can get them to bite. I think that's going to be very, very effective, especially after a few passes down the middle where they want to come up towards Travis Kelce. You're going to have opportunities to run some play action, maybe move outside the pocket on some rollouts, and hit some big targets down the middle of the field, splitting those safeties if they choose to stay too high and exploiting them with speed if they go single. Want to see this defense really take hold, and it's got to start up front. Frank Clark has got to be the leader, and I think what you can do to help him is to not necessarily get too over dramatic with stunts and twists, but just move him around. Different alignments, I think. They want to play the 4-3 under. That's kind of a go-to for Steve Spagnuolo and part of this staff as well. But flipping to the over, bringing up that linebacker some, that's going to be effective. I want to see them use the NASCAR. I'm real excited for that this season. It might not even get used this week, but I'd like to see it so they can get used to doing it. It's going to open up some of the zone blitzes as well. And I think overall, being able to really practice the craft of sending pressure from different spots is the key for Steve Spagnuolo this week. And that includes moving Frank inside at times, letting Chris go outside. I think Chris Jones outside is going to be a monster. And you got to involve the linebackers. Reggie Ragland, we saw good pressure off the edge. If he's lined up in the middle, he can bring pressure as well. I think Damian Wilson's going to be very good at blitzing in those A-gaps, and I want to see some of that to control the Fournette part, but also to get pressure in Nick Foles' face. And being able to, again, move it around so they don't quite understand where the pattern is or where the pressure is coming from is the best way to protect not only the secondary, but this pass rush itself to make it more efficient, more unpredictable, and in the end, more productive. And I think they get all of these things done, and I do believe they go down to Jacksonville and get a win. If you want to hear my actual prediction, hit the Locked On Chiefs podcast on Friday's show. We went through it. I think you guys will like the outcome. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is a win for this team? Do you have any concerns? And if you do, what are they? Leave your comments below. If you like this video, leave the thumbs up and check out the rest of them, please. And if you're new, hit the sub and the notification so you know when something new goes up. I'm trying a lot of experimentation right now. These vlog type videos. I'm going to do some lives. You saw a guest come on the show for the first time this last week. I'm going to do more of that. So if you have suggestions or things that you want to see, make sure you drop those in the comments as well. I'm pretty keyed up. We're going to be back Looking at doing the Monday night Q&A like normal. We'll try to move it up a little bit so it's before the Monday Night Football broadcast. So keep an eye out for that. Let me know what you think for a prediction for this game. Make sure you check out these videos, and I'll check you next time.